Today I'm going to try to explain you how the breeding season is going, or we are preparing for the breeding season. So molting season is almost done, certainly for the breeders. They are, I think, almost completely molted. So how do we prepare the breeding season? So breeding season is a crucial moment in the year, of course. That's the future. The youngsters we have will define next year's successes. We are today in mid of November. I will couple mid of December. So why mid of December? Normally in Belgium most people couple around beginning of December. It's just a practical reason. I have a lot of work, so a week before Christmas holiday I pair them up so I can have a good eye on things and have a bit more attention on the couples I put together. Breeding season is crucial. Most important thing, and I learned that from a very good fancier, try to get your breeders in a top condition. We all know that sometimes in 1 year, if we breed 80 youngsters, there were a lot of good youngsters in. Next year there were almost no good youngsters in. The breeding top condition is determining how good that year the youngsters were. So we try to bring them into top condition, like they would be prepared for a big race. That's crucial. So first of all, of course, your breeders have to be healthy. So what did we do during the molting period? We gave them a vaccine against paratyphoid, and then 3.5 weeks later, that was for me last week, we gave them also a paramyxo vaccine. The vaccine is called PHA. It's paramyxo herpes adeno. So you have to do that vaccine at least 4 weeks before you couple them. As we put them together mid of December, last week I even got 5 weeks of space between the last vaccine and the coupling. What we also do is a couple of weeks before we couple, we check trichomonas and coccidiosis. So I know some fanciers say breeders that have tricho, that's not that important. For me, there is no question about that. Breeders have to be in top condition, so I want to be sure that they have no trichomonas or coccidiosis. So I check that. If they have, we treat them individually. We don't have a lot of breeders, so I can give them a pill to be sure that they are fully free and fully healthy. So that's basically what we are doing medical wise. Health and veterinary preparation. And second part is the feeding. After molting, where they get molting mixture, we give them certainly, I think, 6-7 weeks a lighter mixture. It's called winter rust. It means winter and then rest. It's a very light mixture, although still containing enough energy to get through the day. I do that 6 days a week. 1 day a week, that's on Sunday for me, I still give them the molting mixture, but that's only 1 day. And so I want to be sure that they go also in digestion, that they release all fat, redundant fat and so on, and that their weight is kept in a good way. So my breeders don't train anymore, so if you would give them a lot of feed, in some cases pigeons would grow fatter. In my case, I don't have really pigeons that grow fatter. I don't know why, but even if they give them a lot of food, they don't grow that fat. But nevertheless, we pay attention that they have the perfect weight, not too heavy, not too light of course, and even a bit on the sharper side than on the fatter side. So that's the winter rust. already today we giving them, and I'm always doing that for my breeders, half a doses amino forte, it's amino acids, but only half a doses. I give that each day. And then also we give them, we already showed once a movie on that, some kind of buffet on minerals. So pig stones, minerals, so they can choose what they do. So feeding is important, mainly control the weight. You don't want your pigeons to be too fat when you couple them. When I couple, let's say I would couple within 3 days, the last 5 feedings I give them again malting mixture. So because mainly the male pigeons are chasing a lot the female, and there is a lot of action going on. Yes, loft preparation, very important also, and sometimes underestimated. And to get your birds into top condition, I think you have to avoid stress as much as possible with the breeders. And so make sure that the male breeders know the loft and their place, their spot, their own spot, already months up front. So I personally think, certainly for male breeders, it's never a good idea to acquire a bird and put them into your loft and then 2 months later start breeding for it. So I think they also have to know each other. And so if you bring in a new bird, immediately you are changing the climate and the order in your breeding loft, creating stress, and I don't think that's a good idea. So I prefer that, let's say already 6-7 months, all breeders know their place, no new entries are done anymore, to avoid that stress. And so that's for me also part of the loft preparation. If you purchase a bird late or close to the breeding season, my advice would be only to introduce it once your breeders already have done a couple of rounds of youngsters. So what we also do in the loft preparation is, I think 3 weeks up front we are starting to put the lights on. So we are prolonging the days, reactivating their vitality. So we put in lights for the females still in a separate section, and the male breeders in the breeding loft. And we give them about, I think, 12 hours of light in the day. That makes also my job easier. Days are shorter. I don't have to rush anymore in the morning or in the evening to get them feed. Day is prolonged, so I have more time in the evening to take care of them. So it's also, let's say, a practical advantage to give them light. What we also do when we couple them, of course, is putting the nest boxes ready. So we have still stone nest boxes. We clean them, we make them decent, and so on. And then once they are coupled, I'm not putting, that's perhaps also important, not putting straight away the nest boxes. I just put them together, then 2 days later, then I give them the nest boxes. And then, let's say the days afterwards, from time to time, I give them nesting material, which is straw in my case, to nest, and that creates more bonding to the nest box, to the box where they are in, and so on. And so that's my, for the rest, yeah, my breeders are quite in open air, so I don't change that when they are coupled. They are used to that. Some natural resistance is also important. So that's my loft preparation. Okay, then we go to the last step, which is the one of the most fun steps also. I personally like that. And so that's the pairing strategy. And so I don't know how you are doing that, but let's say a couple of months before the pairing, I'm already making couples on paper. And so how am I doing that? And so let's say from mid of September onwards, I regularly take all my breeding birds and I just check them on the characteristics they have. And so I put an inventory in on how they look. So I categorize on how is their forearm, their wing, their muscles, big, small, thick feathered, a bit less thick feathered, things like that. If there are really some birds in which are not pleasing me, sometimes I remove them. So selection is also crucial in the breeding loft. And I keep on doing that, and then at a certain point in time, after my inventory, I start pairing them up. So I check, okay, this is a male breeder, he has this characteristics, which hen should I choose? So you could say, okay, why you still have to pair them? Probably there are already couples which bred good youngsters. I'm quite a person who likes to shuffle his breeding couples. So I don't leave a breeding couple together for 3 years, for example. And so that's the reason why I'm trying out a lot of things, and that's I'm not always doing the same couples, even if they had the year before good youngsters. It can be that the year afterwards I go back to the couple of a couple of years ago, which resulted in a good bird, but it's not that I keep same couples together. So that pairing strategy on paper is important, and also I like to do that. That's one of the things I like in pigeon racing. And so that's a bit the pairing strategy. I also want to avoid too heavy inbred, so I also I know a lot of things by heart, so I know the origin and the pedigree of all my breeders by heart, but I also check in my head, okay, I say something, if the male is 75% Julien, I don't couple it to a 100% 5 times Julien pedigree bird. So I don't want to, certainly for racing, too heavy inbred. Inbred is possible, but not too heavy. That I learned the past years. For breeding, that's something else. So to have younger birds in your breeding loft, they can be heavy inbred. But for racing, that can be some inbred, but not too much. So also perhaps important to say, and I forgot it, is I prepare them. And so once my coupling on paper is done, let's say 4 weeks before the real date, and so that will be this weekend or next weekend, if I have the time, I will already put them together for a couple of days. So in that way, when I really couple them in 1 month, they already know each other, the rest is already much more there. And I also see sometimes, it doesn't often happen, but sometimes that the male doesn't like the female I selected from him. And so it should be, let's say, instant love, love at first sight when they are together. If I see that that is not happening, I quickly remove the hen and I start looking for another solution. And so I also have a bit more breeding hens than breeding cocks. So in that way I can always adjust. At the moment I pre-couple physically, so not on paper. I do a last check on my couple. So at that moment I put the hen, I put her in the box together with the male. I recheck my inventory on the characteristics and keep in mind in my head if this is matching, yes or not. Of course, do we know everything? Of course not. Otherwise it would be very easy. We cannot see what's in the head. But I like to match birds which are fitting. Also in the eyes. I'm not an eye expert, certainly not. I like a very nice eye, of course, like all of you, I guess. But I tend to not couple two very breeding eyes together. So, for example, a very deep yellow breeding eye, I will not couple to a hen with a very deep breeding eye. And so I want some variation in the eyes. And so most of the time I try to couple a very dark yellow breeding eye with a less heavy white eye, or the inverse, like Roquechilien or Star Julienne, they have a very rich white eye, very red, rich eye. There I tend to couple with the hen which has a bit a less deep yellow eye then. And some variation in the eyes, I find that personally important. It's just a feeling and some experience of the past years. What I also try to do is not to couple two old birds together. Certainly not for racing. For breeding, and the first 2 to 3 rounds I'm breeding for racing, and then I breed some rounds for sale and also some 1 round for breeding. For racing, I will never put together two old birds, or preferably not. So younger hens are important in your breeding loft. So I regularly introduce Julien, younger hens, so I'm not acquiring a lot of other birds. But I like to introduce younger hens of my best breeders and couple them to the older breeding cocks. So vitality in your breeding couple is important, certainly if you raise those youngsters. For breeding, that's another story. There you want to preserve their DNA, but for racing you need DNA, and at least one of the two in the pair has to be a younger bird. So that's also important. This said, I come back to the most important thing in breeding. Take your breeders in top condition and think on vitality. I think that's, let's say, the wrap up of the breeding season here. I all wish you good luck in your breeding season, and I hope you breed some future champions, and I personally also hope I will breed some future champions so we can stay on the level where we are. Have a nice day. Okay, bye bye.